Hello soulmates, yeah, welcome back to my YouTube channel. In today's tutorial video, I'll be sharing with you guys how I made this beautiful dress you're seeing on your screen for my clients. If this is something you're interested in, please keep on watching and let's get started. So I've already ruled out all my lines on my pattern paper. So the first line was my shoulder line, then the next line was my chest line, my bust line, my under bust line, my waistline, then the full length of the upper part, and then the extra 5 inches line for the V slant at the front of the upper parts. So to get your chest line, I've always said this on the channel, you divide your round bust measurement by 6. Whatever you get, you add 1.5 to it. When I did for my client, I had 8 inches. So now I'm going to be starting by taking our shoulder measurement. My client shoulder measurement is 16, divided by 2 is 8. Then after taking our shoulder measurement, I took the neck width, which was, I used 3 inches for the neck width, and then I use 4 inches for my neck depth. So I'm going to be using my curve now to connect the 2 points together to make a curve. So as you can see, we are doing the pattern drafting for the front part of the dress first. So I've already taken my curve. So on my shoulder point, I'm going to be coming down by 0.75 inch. I always take 0.75 inch, and then I'll use my ruler to connect it to the neckline to form our shoulder slope. So the next thing we're going to be doing now is to take our shoulder measurement also on our chest line in order for us to get a straight line for our armhole. If you don't understand what I'm saying, just look at what I'm doing and then do the same, you'll get it. So then after doing that, we're going to be taking our round bust measurement. My client round bust measurement is 36. So 36 divided by 4 will give us 9. So I'm going to be measuring 9 here. After taking our round bust measurement on our chest line, I'm going to be dividing my armhole line by 2. So I'm going to be dividing my armhole line by 2. Whatever I get, I'll mark it. And then I mark half of the armhole line. At that point I mark, I'll come in by half of an inch. And then I use my curve rule to connect the 3 points together from the tip of my shoulder, the half inch I came in, and then my round bust measurements. So I'm going to connect everything together, as you can see me doing. So then the next thing we're going to do is that we're going to be taking our darts. So first of all, we're going to be taking our nipple to nipple. My client nipple to nipple is 8 inches. So divided by 2 is 4. So I'm going to be measuring, I'm taking 4 from the center of my pattern paper. So I also took 4 inches at the hem part of the shirt. So I'm going to connect the points together like so. Then I'm going to be using 2 inches. So on the bust point, I came down by half of an inch. Then I'm going to be using 2 inches for my client's dart. So I'm going to be taking 1 inch on both sides of the dart line. I take 1 inch towards the center fold. Then I also take 1 inch towards the side, as you can see. I'll take it all the way down. Take 1 inches on both sides, on the bust point, the under bust, the waist, and also on the hemline. So I'm going to be connecting everything together with my straight wool. So I'll be connecting it from my under bust line to the hem for the centers and on the side, as you can see. Then the next thing I'm going to be doing, I'm going to be using my curve rule to connect it from the under bust to the half inch I came down by at the bust points. So trying to make the curve visible for you guys to see. Then I'm also going to do the same thing on the other side. So now, to get our princess darts, I'm going to be dividing my armhole circumference, like my armhole curve, by 2. So I've taken the full measurements. So now I will now divide it by 2. Then I now mark the half of my armhole curve. So at that half point, I'm going to be using my curve rule to connect from that mark I made at the armhole curve. That is the half of my armhole curve. I'll be connecting it with my curve rule to meet my nipple to nipple point. If you don't understand what I'm saying, just look at what I'm doing, you'll get it. So I'm going to be connecting it. So I'm doing it multiple times just to make the curve visible for you guys to see. So this is what I got. So to avoid the excesses on the curve area, so I'm going to measure it again so that it will be more visible. So I'm just trying to clean out the previous line I drew. So now I'm going to come down. I'm going to be taking that like ½ inch on both sides, as you can see, just to prevent gaping at that armhole side. So I'm going to be taking ½ inch so that by the time you join it together, there will be no excess. So I came down by ½ inch, I went up by ½ inch. Now the ½ inch I came down by, I'm going to be connecting it back to the nipple to nipple point on the dart leg. So you see, I came out a little bit. Then I'm going to be adding 1 inch. When I took the measurement of on the dart, it was 1. So I came out from the line by 1 inch. And then I also added 1 inch to the armhole. Then I'm going to be drawing a new armhole. So this is now my new armhole curve. Because the dart I took was 1 inch. So I have to replace it back. So I'm going to be making a curve from that 1 inch point. As you can see. So that's our new armhole. So now the next thing we are going to be doing now, I took the small dart and I replaced it back, was about ½ an inch. Then the next thing we are going to be doing now, we are going to be taking our body measurements. So my round bust circumference, my client's round bust circumference divided by 4 is 9. So I'm going to be, but I've already taken the 9 inch point on the bust area. Then the next circumference we're going to be taking in the waist. My client round waist circumference is 30. 30 divided by 4 is 7.5. So I'm going to be replacing the 2 inch that I add. And then I'm also going to be adding 2 inch for my seam allowance. Then for the hem part, I'm going to be using my client's hip circumference. So my client's hip circumference is 39. So 39 divided by 4 will give us 9.75. So we're going to be taking the hip measurement. Then after that, we're going to be placing the darts on the hip area, and then we're also going to be adding our 2 inch for seam allowance. So we'll come to the bust line here, and then we'll add 2 inch for our seam allowance, and then we'll use our curve rule to connect each point together. So I'm trying to blend that place in so that it will be curvy and not pointy. Then on the waistline, we're going to be coming down by 2 inches. As you can see, that line I came down by, I've already marked it out. Then from that 2 inches point we came down by, we're going to be making a curve to meet the 5 inches extra that I gave. So I decided to use my straight rule. Then later I changed my mind to use my curve rule. I was just indecisive on what to use to make this curve. So I used the 2 inches I came down by. So I came down the 2 inches, from that 2 inches point I came down by on the waistline, and then I make the slants. I made my slant a little bit curvy. That's why I used my curve rule, but it was not that curvy. So I used to, the distance from the waist to the point I made my slant was just 2 inches, while the distance from the 2 inches point down was 5 inches for the curve, for the slants. So the next thing we are going to do now, we're going to be adding 1/2 inch on our shoulder for our shoulder joining. So we're going to be connecting it together like this. So this tutorial was a bit long, so I had to divide it into two. So this is the part 1, which is just the pattern drafting and the cutting. So next, just stay tuned to my channel. I'll be uploading the sewing parts next. So now I'm going to be cutting it out. So I'm done cutting this out. So this is what it looks like after I was done cutting it. So after cutting it, I discovered that the slant was not equal, so I decided to use another pattern paper to make the slant a bit more equal. So as you can see, so I use my ruler to make the curve again, then I connected it. If the video is a bit too slow, you can use the speed on YouTube to make it faster. Please, if you are watching the tutorial up to this point, please click on the subscribe button, like and comment, and also share to your loved ones. So now I'm going to be cutting this out. I'm also going to be separating it from the front piece. So now this is how our princess that is looking like. So now I'm going to be drafting the back pattern. At first, I didn't want the slant line to be showing in the front, in the back, but later I added the slants to the back. So I've already gone out to rule out all the lines, the shoulder line, the chest line, the bust line, the waistline, and then the 2 inches I came down by on the waist, because I didn't want to, I wasn't going to add the slant at the back, but later I changed my mind and then I added it. So now to get started, I mark the shoulder, which is 8 inches, the neck width 3 inches, and the neck depth for the back I'll be using 1.5 for the neck depth. So I'm going to be using my curve rule now to connect, and I've also come out with 1.5 inches for my zipper, as you can see. So the next thing we're going to be doing now is to take our armhole measurement. For the shoulder, I've come down by 0.75 to get our shoulder slants. And then for measuring our armhole now, so we're going to be dividing our bust divided by 4. So our bust divided by 4, we'll mark it there on our bust line. Then we're going to use our, first of all, we'll take our shoulder measurements on the chest line, and then I'm going to be dividing our bust by 4. Whatever we get, we'll mark it on the chest line. So now we're going to get our armhole curve, we'll divide our armhole by 2. Then at that point we made, we're going to be coming out by half of an inch. Come out by half of an inch. Then we use our curve rule to connect the 3 points together. After doing that, next thing we're going to be doing is to take our darts from our bust point. We came out by 4 inches, and then the hem of the dress of the shirt we came down by 4 inches. Came out by 4 inches. Then we'll connect it with our ruler. Then we're going to be using 0.5 on both sides, so you mark 0.5 on both sides, and then you use your ruler to connect. Next, what we're going to be doing now is to take our body measurements. So the waist I had was 0.75, so I mark it there, and then I also remove 1 inch for that, and then added extra 2 inch for seam allowance. So connect from the bust points to down to the waist, and then to the hem parts. So I'm going to be using my front pattern paper to get the curve on that hem part. So I'm just going to trace it out so that the curve will be accurate. So as I'm tracing it out, I'll now use my curve rule to connect it together. So initially I wasn't going to be adding the V slants, the back slants on the back of the dress, but later I changed my mind, like I said earlier, and I decided to add. So I've already gone ahead to cut this out. So on the waist, I came out by half of an inch for our zipper bulge. So I'm going to be slanting it now to the top and also to the down part of the pattern paper. If you find this tutorial helpful, please like, share and comment, and also click on your subscribe button. Then after doing that, I went ahead to cut it out. Then later I was like, you know what, let me just also add the Bask effect on the back. So I sellotape another extra pattern paper to the back pattern, and then I added extra 5 inches, so it's just the way it is at the front. So I'm marking 5 inches. So now I'm going to roll it out. Trying to make sure that it was accurate, the lines were accurate. So the next thing now is that we're going to be connecting. So I went ahead to just take my hip measurement and then added 1 inch for that, and then added 2 inches for seam allowance. So I'm going to be making the line longer so that I can make my curve. So I extended the darts downward. So I decided to clean the previous darts intake I made so it will not be confusing. So now I'm drawing out our new darts. So these are our new darts. So I'm going to be using my curve rule now to make a curve from my waist now down to the extra 5 inches I added. So this is how it looks like. The next thing I'm going to be doing now is to make the slants from the 2-inch point I came down by at the waistline. So I made the slant a bit curvy, as you can see. So I've gone ahead to cut it out. So here is the fabric I'll be using to cut this dress. The fabric is very stretchy, so now this is the down part of our, I've gone ahead to cut out this piece of fabric to make the garter. So I doubled, like the waistline, I doubled 2 times of it or 3 times of it to get this piece. So one will be for the front and the other one will be for the back. So now this is the remaining piece of fabric I'll be using to cut the pattern paper that I've drafted for the front. So I'll be folding it, then I'll place my pattern paper on it, and then I pin and then I cut out. So this was it after I was done cutting. So that's how it looks. Thank you so much for watching. Stay tuned for the next one.